Picture this. A company making these incredibly complex, life-saving medical devices. Think delicate surgeries.
Yeah, high-stakes stuff.
Exactly. And yet, for 30 years, their production scheduling, it ran on paper, spreadsheets, and a whiteboard.
Sounds almost unbelievable today, doesn't it?
It really does. But that was the reality for a major player in medical devices and industrial equipment. Today, we're doing a deep dive into how they finally modernized that whole process.
And for you, the learner, someone who's always keen to see how established industries adapt, maybe optimize. Well, this is a really compelling look at embracing modern tech.
Okay, so what are we working with?
We've got a case study here. It details the company's journey, specifically their adoption of Planet Together APS. That's advanced planning and scheduling software.
Got it.
And our mission really is to dig into what they went through, what worked, and pull out the key insights from their transformation.
Okay, let's set the scene first. The challenge they were up against. This wasn't some small shop, right?
Oh, not at all. We're talking a leading manufacturer, high-speed instruments for things like neurosurgery, neurotology, otology, orthopedics, very critical fields.
Wow, yeah. The precision needed for, say, brain surgery tools. That really paints a picture of a complexity level.
And the sheer scale, think about this. Each product, hundreds of individual processes.
Hundreds.
Hundreds. Now multiply that. They had 11,000 different products.
Yeah.
And they were often juggling something like 2,000 production orders at the same time.
Okay, that's a staggering scheduling task, just managing that flow.
It really is. And this case, I think, powerfully shows that principle.
Yeah.
Visibility unlocks efficiency. Moving from that sort of murky manual scheduling to a clear digital system, that directly tackled all those hidden problems.
Right. And it wasn't just the volume, was it? Because these are vital medical devices, they often needed to reschedule things.
Constantly. They needed to get critical equipment out sooner than planned. A lot.
Which creates huge logistical hurdles, I imagine.
Massive headaches. And yet, despite all that complexity, the critical nature, they were relying on, well, what you'd have to call a really low-tech approach.
Paper, spreadsheets, a whiteboard. You said it before, it just seems...
It seems out of place, doesn't it? For such a sophisticated operation. It really shows how even successful companies can have these pockets ripe for a big upgrade.
So, okay, they realized this wasn't sustainable, time for an upgrade. They started looking for, what, a best-of-breed APS solution?
Exactly. Best of breed meaning they wanted the absolute top software just for scheduling, not necessarily a jack-of-all-trades system.
Right, makes sense. They looked at a few options.
They did. They evaluated several. And Planet Together stood out for a couple of key reasons.
Like what?
Well, first, the user interface. Apparently, it was very user-friendly, which is always a big plus for getting people on board.
Sure, makes adoption easier.
Definitely. But maybe even more critical was the promise of fast, direct integration with their existing manufacturing software.
Ah, okay. Because they were also changing their ERP system around the same time, weren't they?
Yes, exactly. They were moving to MySP concurrently. So that ERP provides the basic data, you know, the what resources, what orders.
Right.
Planet Together then becomes the how. It intelligently optimizes the scheduling of those resources using that real-time ERP data.
That sounds like a really key advantage. Because the case study notes that some competitors were talking about really long implementations.
Months, even years in some proposals,
Yeah.
and suggesting big changes to how the company already worked.
Which nobody wants, usually.
Right. Planet Together's approach just fit better with their need for a smoother, less disruptive transition.
And was it smooth? They were doing the ERP switch, too?
Apparently, remarkably smooth. The director of material systems in IT is quoted saying the integration was so seamless, their users, quote, did not even notice the difference.
Wow.
They literally said, we flipped the switch and it worked.
That's pretty impressive for that kind of double implementation.
It really is. Speaks volumes about the software architecture, I think.
So a big reason they picked Planet Together, you mentioned, was this what-if analysis capability. That sounds crucial, especially given their need for constant rescheduling.
Oh, absolutely. This was a primary motivator for them.
How does that work in practice? Why was it such a big deal?
Well, it lets them instantly see the impact of, say, holding a specific order or maybe delaying one operation.
Ah, okay. So you make a hypothetical change.
Exactly. And the system shows you immediately how that change ripples through the entire production schedule. You see all the knock-on effects. It really embodies that idea that proactive modeling minimizes reactive chaos.
So you're not just guessing at the consequences, and you can try different things.
Precisely. They can reschedule specific jobs without throwing the whole system into disarray. The director said, "We work with the what-if scenarios until we find the one that works best for us and then take the new schedule live."
Being able to test the waters before committing, that must have been huge for managing those urgent demands.
Incredibly valuable in that kind of dynamic environment.
And it seems like this capability helped them move towards lean manufacturing, too. The study mentions this shift to a build-to-order model enabled by MiceIP and Planet Together.
Yeah, it was a strategic shift that the new tools made possible.
So it wasn't the plan all along necessarily.
More like an evolution. Before, they were building based on sales forecasts, which, is always a bit of a guessing game.
Right. You end up with too much of one thing, not enough of another.
Exactly what they found. Items sitting in stock, gathering dust, while other orders were out of stock, forcing them into expensive, rushed production runs. Just inefficient.
Sounds like putting out fires constantly.
Pretty much. But moving to build to order, guided by the smarter scheduling from Planet Together, let them really streamline things. And the cost savings were significant.
Yeah, the numbers look pretty dramatic.
They really were. In less than 60 days, just 2 months, they eliminated 250 production orders that would have just been built to forecast.
Wow. Just cut them out.
Gone. And that translated directly into savings. About 15% reduction in inventory overhead costs.
15% is huge for inventory.
It is.
Yeah.
And around 20% savings in overtime labor expenses.
Because they weren't doing as many rush jobs.
Exactly. They shifted, as they put it, from building equipment to stock to building to ship. Much leaner, much more efficient.
Those are really solid, tangible results. Beyond the money, though, did it make things better for the folks on the shop floor? The study mentions improved efficiency and reliability there, too.
Yes, definitely. Planet Together's optimization engine is designed to look at all the real-world constraints.
Like what kind of things?
Labor availability, specific machine capacity, tooling, materials, all those factors that can trip up a schedule.
Right, the bottlenecks.
Exactly. By scheduling around those constraints accurately, it creates a much more reliable, predictable workflow. Fewer surprises for the shop floor team, which makes everyone's life easier.
So it sounds like this wasn't just a tool for the planners, it spread through the organization.
That's a really key point. The director stressed that it became a consistent tool used everywhere. Supervisors used it for daily priorities. Planners, obviously. Purchasing could see material needs much clearer. IT managed the system. Management got a better overview.
So real company-wide adoption, not just sitting in one department.
Correct. Which really speaks to its usability and, frankly, its value across different roles.
And the bottom line, especially in their business, delivering on time.
That's the ultimate measure, isn't it? The director said, more importantly, we're delivering what we said we would, when we said we would.
That says it all, really.
Yeah.
Especially for critical medical gear.
It does. And his final verdict was pretty simple. Planet Together is an amazingly powerful tool that really captures the scale of the change they experienced.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. This deep dive, it really shows how a company, even one successful for decades with older methods,
Yeah, 30 years with paper and whiteboards.
could still find huge improvements. Efficiency, cost savings, reliability, all by bringing in advanced scheduling software like Planet Together APS.
Absolutely. And for you, the learner, the takeaway here is that even really complex operations, things that seem almost too big to change, can be streamlined, optimized. Strategic technology adoption makes a difference.
And these principles apply way beyond medical devices, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Efficient scheduling, resource management, these are challenges across so many sectors. The insights here are widely applicable.
It does make you think, doesn't it, about those processes we just take for granted, maybe in our own fields, things that seem ingrained, maybe even successful.
But might be holding back potential.
Right. What are the paper and whiteboard equivalents in areas you know? What could a smart technological upgrade really unlock? It's a good question to ponder.
It is. And look, for anyone listening whose interest is piqued by this, maybe you're thinking about your own operations, you can find out more about Planet Together. Their website is www.planettogether.com.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, and they've got contact details too if you want to reach out directly, maybe ask for a demo. It's info@planettogether.com, or you can call them at +1 888 317 8007.